Hi everyone, welcome to episode 41 of my North Knit Corner. My name is Anne and I come to you from the south of Norway. Here I live with my husband and our 3 boys. Welcome to my little corner of the internet. Here I talk about my passion for knitting and for yarn. And I hope that if you love yarn and knitting as much as I do, that you have the time to sit down, find your craft and spend a little time with me while I chat about what have been on my needles for the last few weeks. I will have timestamps on this episode, so it will be easy for you to skip to the parts you want to see or skip over the parts you don't want to see. And also I have information about everything I talk about in the description box below. Yes, I think that is all of the admin stuff. And I will take a sip of my coffee. I hope you have some coffee or some tea or any other beverage of choice and your craft. And we will get started. First, I want to talk about what I'm wearing, which is also a FO since last time. And this is a scrappy project. I had some scraps after a couple of projects, sweater projects. I had Drops Flora in white and green. The white is number 2 and the green is called Misty Green and it's number 23. I say scraps, but I had a couple of whole balls of yarn as well, left over from projects, and it was enough for me to get at least a top out of, or a sweater. I wasn't sure, but I found that Flax light pattern from Thanx, which is free on Ravelry. And I just based this top of that pattern. I used the stitch count for the size number 10 and also the rate of increases, but that's about it. On the tin or on the Flax light, there is a garter stitch on the sleeves from the shoulders to this down the sleeves, I believe. And I did omit that, and I also changed. I have 4 stitches in between the increases, so I get this line in the raglan. So that's different from the pattern as well. And I did twisted stitches in the ribbing. I'm always a bit unsure how you say that. In Norwegian we say we have done a twisted ribbing, but that is not correct because the only stitch I twist is the knitted stitch. The purl I don't, I have used the normal purl. I didn't twist the purl stitches. So I don't know what you say then. We say we have done a twisted ribbing, but that is half truth, I believe. Because the purl is not twisted. Anyway, tangent. I knitted this on needles 2.5 and 3.5 millimeters, so US 1.5 and US 4. Then it weighs 167 grams, and I've done stripes, which I'm very happy with. And I did do this words. To get the stripes jogless, I believe. Yes, to get the jogless stripes. So I know there are different ways to do that, but the way I have found is the easiest is to just you take the new color and you knit the row, and when you come back to the next round, you take the first stitch and just lift it off, and then you knit the rest, and then you keep on knitting. And I have found that make it really look like it's a straight line, because when you knit, and I'm sure you already know, you don't knit straight around, you do knit in upwards in a spiral. So you will always start here, and then you will go and you will end be over the other stitch, if that makes sense. So that to try and not get that jug, I lift the one stitch off and then continue knitting. I hope that made sense. Yeah, but I know it's several ways to do it, but this is the way I found that it's the most easiest and nicest for me. And maybe if I remember, I can link the video I used, the tutorial I used below. But there are so many different ways you can do that. But that is the one that works for me. Yes, I don't know if I have a lot more to say about this top, but I'm very happy with how it turned out. And I'm happy I got to use up some scraps. That's always fun. I don't know if I said, maybe I said, but if I didn't, I still have 50 grams left, so a whole ball of the white yarn left, and I have about 17 grams left of the green. So I could have done long sleeves, but I was talking to a friend, and together with her I came to the conclusion that this is a very light and airy top. Drops Flora is fingering yarn, so this is very thin. So maybe with long sleeves, yeah, I could have used it in the evenings in the summer. And in the spring, of course, because spring is normally pretty cold. or it's about 14, 15, 16 degrees in the spring, Celsius. So I decided to go for short sleeves. So I just knitted straight, and before the ribbing I just decreased pretty heavily and did the ribbing and bound off. I should have done the cast off a bit more stretchy and not so tight, because it is pretty tight when I take it over my arm, but actually it doesn't bother me when it's on me. It's not too tight here, but it's just when I take it on. So maybe I should take up the cast off and do it again more stretchy, but I probably am not going to do that because I'm lazy. And I know it will just take me a few minutes to do, but I will see. If it bothers me when I'm wearing it, I might do it. We'll see. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think it looks good. So yeah, happy to use up some scraps. One of my goals for this year is to always have socks on the needles, and so far so good. I've knitted quite a few pair of socks so far, so I'm very happy. And here is another pair of socks that I have finished. This is not a pattern per se, but the sock yarn that I've used is from Lala, called Lala Varm Sock yarn. Varm means warm in English. Yeah, here they are. Very fun to knit with because of the color changes, and it also has some patterning, is that a word? On it, which make it a lot of fun to knit with. Inside the ball band of this yarn there was a pattern for socks, and I just used the amount of stitches that was recommended for the size that I was going to knit. This is the size 43 in EU size. These are for my husband, and that's about what I used, I think. So I just did a ribbing 2x2. I think that was what was in the pattern as well. But then I did a different heel. In the pattern there was stockinette heel, and I feel like that is not very sturdy. I'm not sure. But so I did reinforced heel where you slip the stitches. Yeah, because I feel like that is more sturdy than just stockinette. And heel flap and gusset, I guess it's called. And I did the decreases on the toe like I normally do. And here I did in the pattern in the ball band, it says that when you have the so and so many stitches, you cut the yarn and you thread it through the stitches and just bind off that way. And I've done that on these socks, but I do think I prefer is it called the 3 needle bind off? I think so. Yeah, I might be wrong. But where you use your needle and you have stitches, the same amount of stitches on both needles, and you just sew it. Yeah. 3 needle bind off? No, maybe? No, that's not right, because that's when you... Okay, I'm sure you are yelling to me what it's called. So thank you. I know how to do it. I just don't remember what it's called. Yeah, but I prefer the sewn ending of the toe. Yeah. So I think I will do that next time. Or I usually do that for socks. So that's these socks. They weigh 75 grams. I knitted on 2.25 millimeter needles, US 1. Yeah, another pair of socks is done, and my next FO is also socks. Because I want to make myself a Christmas sock box this year. So I dyed some yarn last week to make the String of Light socks by Sockvitchery Lindsay, which has a very fun and great podcast on YouTube, which I highly recommend. And she has a lot of great sock patterns. And the String of Lights have oh, my grammar is not good. I'm sorry. It's been in my library for a long time, but I just haven't found the right yarn. And when I dyed yarn last week, I decided to dye up some yarn for it. So the main color here is a yarn that I've dyed myself. And the red yarn is from Mrs. Fox Yarn. It was some scraps that I had left. The green one is from Garnfene. Both of these are Norwegian hand dyers. Yeah, and I had seen someone knit this with changing the cuffs and the heels and the toes with red and green like this, so I decided to do the same, and I'm very happy with how they look. And the string of lights is a very easy pattern, but it is just so fun. This is a very speckly yarn, so I'm not sure you can see. Yeah, see the stitch pattern. They weigh 68 grams. I've also knitted these on 2.25 millimeter needles, US 1. Yes, and I knitted the size small for this pair. And they are very fun, and I can't wait to use them in December. I have one more FO for this episode, and it was a sudden cast on. I just wanted a fun little project, so I cast on this cute bunny. This is the Easter bunny Lala, and I can't pronounce the name of the designer of this pattern, so I'm very sorry. I will write it on the screen. The last name is Vu, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not gonna try to pronounce the rest. This is a free pattern on, you can find it project page on Ravelry, or pattern page is more correct, I believe. And there you have a link to a website, and the pattern is there, but you can also, I think you also can download a PDF, which is very nice. So I did that, and I thought that this would be a very quick, fun project, which it was. I only used a day, but it took a few hours, more hours than I thought that it would. And I knitted this cute little bunny with scraps, Drops Fabel in a grey, and I used the light pink and dark pink is Filcolana Avetta. The purple is Sannes Sisu. The white is Drops Fabel as well. This is knitted flat, which was what made it maybe a bit tedious and boring, because you have to purl a lot. It's not a big project, but it took quite some time when I had to purl. Yes, so and it's tiny, you know, so yeah, but I'm very happy I did it, because I think she's very cute and it's very fun to have as a decoration in my shelf here in the knitting room. But yes, I had to sew it together in the back. Can you see that there's a line? Maybe not, but you can see it on the eggshell. Yeah, so I thought it was very difficult to sew it together because the edges just curled very much inwards. So it was very hard to find the correct stitches because you're doing the mattress stitch. It was difficult to make a very straight and even and nice seamless seam, but it's not a problem. It's in the back and no one's going to see it. But if I'm going to make another one, which would be very fun to have another one, a little friend for my new little bunny, I would try to knit it in the round maybe. I don't know if that is difficult to do. I guess maybe it's a good reason why it's knitted flat and not in the round. No, but that won't be that hard, is it? It's just to cast on the same amount of stitches and increase in the same way. Maybe I should try. I really want to try and see if that is hard to do. And maybe it won't be this nice, or maybe it will be just as nice. Maybe that's what I'm going to do this weekend. We'll see. But at least I have this cute little bunny. Before I filled her up, she weighed 18 grams with the shell. And I filled her up with some rice in the bottom just to make her stand. And there is some scrap yarn in here. I always cut the ends off, and I save from my projects, and I save them to use for a filling. But I also used some. I have this cheap IKEA pillow. I just cut open, and I used the filling from the pillow into these things when I make these kind of things. Yeah. So I use some of that in the head, at least that's what it is. Yeah, because I feel that it's a bit more, it's easier to form than with the yarn scraps, I think. And also you duplicate stitch a bit on this. The white is all duplicate stitches. Yeah. And the face, of course, sewn on. I think I did a decent job, but I used a lot of time. I used a lot of time to make the face, which shouldn't take that long, but to make it just right. And of course, the arms and the ears are also sewn off. They're all knitted in parts and sewn on. Did I say sew off? Oh boy, yes. Anyways, my cute bunny. Let's see what I have on my needles. I am still knitting on the Autumn Alpine, yeah, by Caitlin Hunter. I had some yarn in my stash that I really wanted to use. I had some Villa Sillat yarn. It's 100% wool yarn. It's 100 grams and 350 meters on one ball of yarn. I had two, but in different colors. I had white and brown. And then I had this beautiful yarn from Fjord Fibers. It's a Norwegian hand dyer. And I had this beautiful yarn called Autumn in the Air, which is very fitting for the Autumn Alpine sweater. And if you were here last time, you might see that there is a difference this time. Can you see what I have done? So last time I told you I wasn't happy with my color. I had knitted the color that is in the pattern, which I'm sure is lovely on many people, but I just didn't like it. So I decided to do something very scary. I think it's scary. I took a needle and put it in just under the collar on the sweater, and I had like a row in between, and over there I put another needle, and then I cut in the middle. to take off the color that was there. Oh, it was scary, and of course I didn't get into all the stitches with my needle, so some was not safely on the needle I had put in, so I had to do some rescuing of stitches. And also there is short rows in the back of the neck, which was just under the collar, so that was a bit tricky, because some of the stitches that was fallen off was the stitches where I had done the short row or had turned. So yeah, so it's not perfect. I can see there is some strange stitches here, but oh well, I am so much more happy with this. And what I did was, when I had rescued all the stitches, I bound them off or cast off, and I picked up stitches for the color. And I knitted a ribbing just one by one, as long as I felt I had to, and then I just knitted it together, or folded it over and knitted together on the inside. So I had a folded over collar, because I felt like that was what this sweater needed. And now I'm really happy with how it looks. It looks so much better, I think. I hope you agree that this is much better than how it looked. If I have a picture, I can put in how it looked before, and maybe some pictures of me cutting the collar off. But I'm so much more happier with how it looks now, and I think the color work is just beautiful with the yarn from Fuel Fibers, the hand-dyed yarn. I am knitting the size, excuse me, the size 2 on 2.75 millimeter needles and 3 millimeter needles. So the white and the brown yarn is the Villa Sillat yarn. It is very similar to Rauma Finull. The only difference is that it's not Norwegian wool like Rauma Finull is. So I wasn't sure how to do it, since I only have one ball of brown and one ball of white. So I decided to stripe it, which you saw last time. But then I changed my mind, because I didn't like how it looked, so I changed to white. I ripped back, and then I just knitted a white body. Maybe I should have chosen the brown, but okay, I chose the white, and that's how it looks now. And I've used almost all the white. I just have 2 or 3 grams of the white left. So I had to use the brown for the arms. And I'm not sure if that looks funny, but that is how it looks. And I think the color work is so beautiful, so I don't care. But now I've run into a new issue, and that is that this is all that is left of the brown. So I won't be able to have long sleeves with the brown. So either I have to have short sleeves on this, then I should probably rip back a bit and do some kind of ribbing, or I can put on some of the Fjord Fibers yarn on the end of the arms. I don't know, but what I think is, maybe I will try on one sleeve, see how it is. If it's terrible, I can only just rip it back and do short sleeves. I think that's what I'll do. I'll try, see how it looks. If it looks okay, I will keep it. If not, I will rip it back. I think that's what I'm going to do. Maybe it will look fun, or maybe it will look funny. Either way, I will try. But I do love the color work. I think it's just so amazingly beautiful. So I am really happy with how it is now. Yeah. So that is the autumn Alpine. Next time I probably will be wearing this sweater. Can't wait. Then I have cast on something I have talked a few episodes that I will cast on or plan. I had it in my plans. And that is the Eva cardigan by Petite Knit. And I'm knitting it in this Drops Charisma. The color is 40 Old Pink. Now this color I bought because I loved it, but that was a couple of years ago. And now, not so much. I don't like it so much. So this project is going really slow. Maybe it's the color, or maybe it's because there is a lot of purling and I'm not a fan of purling. But I want more cardigans and I don't want to steek them, so then I have to do the purling. I was thinking about maybe dye this yarn to get a color that I might like more. But there is a lot of balls of yarn that I then had to skein up, and then I had to dye them. And I don't have any, I can't dye more than 3 skeins at a time because I'm dyeing in my kitchen. So I don't have the room or space for to do more. So then I would risk that even if I measured out the dye and everything the same, there could be some color differences. So I didn't, and I just didn't have I didn't want to. So I'm knitting with the color I don't love, but maybe my hope is that when I'm done with this cardigan, I will think that it looks really good and maybe I like it. Hopefully, maybe. If not, I might gift it. But now I will show you how far I've come. I've not knitted much because I don't think it's very fun. But I'm going to knit it. I know you should knit the things you think is fun. And yes, I agree that I want to use up this yarn because it's been haunting me. I see it every day in my shelf above here, and it's crying out, knit me. Yeah, so I have to get rid of it. I could, of course, sell it or gift it or something, but oh well, I'm using it now. So here it is. As you see, it's not much yet. I'm knitting the size medium. I'm using 3.5 and 4 millimeter needles, US 4 and 6. But I do really like the construction of this cardigan. That's what I fell for when I chose it. Yeah, so hopefully it will be a nice cardigan. If I don't like it, I will gift it to someone. And I want a cardigan. I also have the champagne cardigan pattern because I knitted that for another friend a couple of years ago, I think. So when I go to Strikkekraft in June, that's the knitting festival in Bergen, I will most likely go to Hillesvåg, which is a Norwegian mill that mill their yarn, which is from Norwegian sheeps. And then I will buy yarn for a cardigan, and I will buy a nice color that I love, and I will knit it straight away so I don't fall out of love with the color. Like this, yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I have one more project on the needles, and of course it is socks. And last week, as I said, I dyed yarn. So I dyed up some yarn for these next socks, which I will show you very soon. I can tell you that I am knitting the eggs for Easter socks by Stoneknits. And I wanted to dye up some yarn for it, so I dyed up this blue sock yarn and this yellow. I felt that they were fitting for the eggs for Easter socks, and here are my socks. And I also use some other colors that I have used just scraps of sock yarn for. But here are my socks so far. I'm on the first sock. Hopefully you can see that they are hens. Is that right? Hens? Høne in Norwegian. Høne. I think they are called hens. If my 8-year-old son was here, he would know the right word, and he would say, Mama, don't you know that they are called blah, blah, blah? Yeah. He's very good in English, extremely good. And he has a very fun accent. Yes, thanks to YouTube. Okay, I'm going on a tangent here, but he knows English almost better than he knows Norwegian. When he talks Norwegian, he uses the grammar for English, so he directly translates it to Norwegian. So the words don't really make sense. I don't know if I explained that, but he used in English it sounds right, but in Norwegian it's just funny. You can't use the words in that order in Norwegian, but he knows English almost better than he knows Norwegian because of YouTube. And he has watched a lot of English kids television, and because he prefers that, so that's, and it's good that he knows English, and he's very proud of it. Okay, back to the socks. Sorry. I think they are amazing. I love them so much. I had so much fun knitting them. I cast them on yesterday, and I just really loved. I just love to knit on them. They are so much fun. I am knitting also with some scraps of Sandnes Sisu, and there one ball went on the floor in this red. And this is Drops Fabel in the white. And I also... No, that's the color I'm using, right? Yeah. I will have to do some duplicate stitching to make the beak on the... Because they are not chickens, they are hens, right? How can it be so difficult? Yes, anyways. It's fun, and it's some structure on the front, and they have a very fun toe with some white and some yellow, so it looks like an egg. Yeah, fun. A lot of fun. I'm knitting on 2mm needles and 2.75mm needles, and that is US 0 and US 2. The reason why I have this big jump between the needles that I used, firstly, of course, I want to knit with a bigger needle on the collarwork to make sure that it's not too tight. And I think I've done a good job there. And when I got the tip from one of you guys, thank you by the way, that when I knit collarwork socks on magic loop, that I change the starting point regularly. I change it all the time so that the floats won't be on the same, or the jump between the needles won't be on the same place all the time, to avoid that you get a line. I hope I explained that correctly. Anyways, it worked out really good, so I did that. So I'm going to continue to use that for these socks and for other colorwork socks in the future. Yes. The reason I have this big jump between the needles is not that, even though yeah, I was supposed to knit on 2.25 millimeter needles. The problem is that when I knit this bunny here, this happened to my needle. Yes, it broke. This is Ngoc Vu needles, and I thought that they were long-lasting and sturdy, but I don't know what happened. And my red lace cord that's supposed to have no memory has a lot of memory, as you see. So yeah, I have to invest in some new sock needles. So what I did when I knitted this bunny, because I was in the middle of knitting this bunny when it happened, so I just put on a stitch stopper on the end of the needle and I just knit it on. So that works, but not on the socks. So that is why I chose the 2 millimeter needles. And I was supposed to use my 2.5 millimeter needles for the collarwork, but the problem is I can't find any of my 2.5 needles anywhere. Only the 40 centimeters cord I can find, but that is too short to knit magic loop. I've looked in all my project bags, in my baskets. I can't find the needles, not the 60 centimeter cords, not the 80 centimeter cords. They're just all, they're gone. It has to be a needle thief somewhere. Yeah. So I don't know what happened to them, but I have to invest in some new needles. 2.5 and 2.25 millimeter needles. I'm going on a knitting festival next week, so I probably will try to find some Ngoc Vu ones when I'm there. Yes, I think that's everything I want to say about these socks, but I'm very happy with them. They are so much fun to knit, and it's very fun to knit with yarn you have dyed yourself. Highly recommend. It's time to do a summary of February, but before I do that, I'm just going to quickly mention that I am still knitting on the Mamba dress. I am still on the skirt of the dress, so I have a little bit of progress, maybe 5-6 centimeters, but it looks the same because it's just the same for 90 centimeters. So I will spare you the dress for this episode, but when I start the body I will show it to you again. But I still have 10 centimeters to go on the skirt before I can start on the body. So it goes by slow, but that's okay. I'm not gonna use it until next fall or winter anyway, so that's okay. And I have also knitted a lot on my Cozy Memories blanket. I had so much fun knitting on it, and now I've used up almost all my scraps because I had a few days where I only knitted on that, and a square takes about an hour. So I get, and I have a lot of knitting time, so I get to knit a lot of squares in a day. So yeah, I've used up almost all my scraps, all the tiny sock scraps, so sock yarn scraps. So now I just have to knit a lot of socks to get new scraps for my blanket. So that is a lot of fun. It's really satisfying to knit on, yeah, and to see the scraps just disappear. All right, so that, I just wanted to say that if anyone wondered where my dress was. I will just take a sip of my coffee, and we will talk about how my knitting went in February. February, hard, very difficult word. So in February, last month, I finished one blanket, 3 sweaters or tops. This was done in February. So 2 sweaters and this top, 1 hat, 1 cowl, and 3 pairs of socks. Now these weren't started in February necessarily, but they were finished last month. I knitted up 2,955.3 grams of yarn last month. But that's because of the Sweet Shop blanket, of course, because that weighs something around 1,100 something grams. So that is a lot of fun. It feels really good to have this big blanket project done, and to get to count it into last month's knitted grams of yarn. So how I do this summary this year, at least, I write down everything I buy or get in to my stash, and I use that number. So if, okay, I will try to explain it differently. It's much easier to explain in Norwegian. So if I buy 100 grams of yarn and then I knit up 100 grams of yarn, I have zero anything yarn. So I don't count the stash that I had before 2024. That is not counted in. I just want to see how much yarn do I buy this year versus how much do I knit up. So in February I didn't buy any yarn, but I had yarn left from January, and that was 831.2 grams of yarn plus. But then I knitted up 2,955.3 grams of yarn. So now or maybe I should do like this. So now I have minus 2,125.7 grams, which means that I have something to go on. I can buy some yarn before I go past that. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, please tell me, because I hope you understand my way of thinking. So now I'm on the negative, and I can keep continuing going down, or I will buy yarn and it will go in plus maybe. We'll see. Like I say, I'm going on a yarn festival next weekend, and the chances that there will be some acquiring of yarn is very big. I don't think I will be able to go to a yarn festival and not buy yarn. Yeah, But I will try and buy yarn for things I have projects in mind for. That's like my goal. So that is the summary for February. Now we have come to the last segment of this episode, Yarnjoy and Plans. My plan was to tell you that I haven't acquired any yarn since last episode. But there was a knit night on Monday and the local yarn store was open and they had half of some summer yarns. And I don't need any more summer tops in my wardrobe, to be honest. I knitted a lot of summer tops last year, but of course I have to knit some summer tops. One of my plans is the Pure Top by Anadaku. I knitted that last year, but I had didn't have enough yarn, so it's very cropped. So I want to knit another one that has a better length on it, and maybe knit in a different size as well. So I bought some Vikingarn bamboo in this beautiful blue color. The number is 628. I don't know the color name, but it's very nice. So I got 300 grams of this, and hopefully it will be enough for a Pure Top, because 6 spools was what they had left. So yeah, we'll see. And that's all I have bought of yarn. But then, like I said, I did dye some yarn last week because I got this beautiful book for Christmas from my husband and kids. The Charming Colorwork Socks by Stoneknits, or Charlotte Stone. And there are so many beautiful socks in here that I want to knit. So this is of course the socks that I'm knitting now. Eggs for Easter. And the next one I want to cast on that I dyed some yarn for is these, the coffee break socks. Because I love coffee, so I need some coffee socks. And there is also another, I want to knit all of these in here, but there is also another pair that I tried to dye some yarn for. Maybe I can't find them right now, and this is very boring for you to watch. Yes, talk among yourselves, please, while I just try to find them. I found them. It's the vitamin C socks. There is a chance that I will omit some of this color work. I think it looks so beautiful, but I'm afraid that I will knit too tight, that I won't be good, but we'll see. But at least I want to use some of it. But yeah, that's a worry for another day. But I can show you some of the yarn if you want to see. And if you don't want to see, remember I have timestamps, so you can just skip it. For the coffee break socks, my skein is untangling. Okay, it's not so nice, but that is okay. I was thinking maybe this for the main color, and with this for the color work. Maybe this is too busy, I'm not sure, and maybe I will use this instead. And with this, if it's enough contrast, we'll see what I will choose. And then I tried to get orange for the vitamin C socks. So we'll see if I will use this or if I will get some other yarn for it. We'll see. But this all will be socks. If it's the Charming Colorwork socks or something else, then I also dyed this yarn. These are the same. And these are different. I'm untangling my yarn. This is all stock yarn, so we'll see if what they will become. I don't know. I also have this. Yeah. So a lot of yarn here to knit socks of, and that will be a lot of fun. I had some scraps or leftover mohair from another project, and I didn't love the color. Maybe I can put a picture in of how the color is or was because I dyed the mohair. Dyeing mohair is so much fun because it takes color in an amazing way. It is so watercolory or something. Yeah. So this is what it ended up looking. It's a really nice golden color. So I think this is so beautiful. I'm so sad that I only have, I think maybe 45 grams. So it's not enough for something big, but it's so nice. A hat, maybe? Scarf? We'll see. Maybe in a shawl. Lots to think about. But that is what I have acquired. My plans is to start those coffee socks when I'm done with the Easter egg socks. And I also am going to knit a porcelain sweater by Lena Holme Samsø. I'm knitting it for a friend of mine. She asked me, and of course I want to do that. So I'm excited because I really wanted to knit the porcelain sweater. It's really beautiful, and now I can try and see if that is something I want to knit for myself as well. So I'm excited, but I will show you the yarn and everything when I start to knit on that. Right, that is everything that I wanted to talk about today, I think. I'm sorry if it's been rambly. That's how I feel. You are always so good to me and tell me that you understand what I say and that it's not a problem with my English. So I'm very grateful to you all because I don't always feel like I get out the words and it's not flowing as nicely as it does on my own language, which is natural, I believe. But anyway, yeah, I'm grateful to all of you who has the patience to listen to me, regardless that English is not my first language. And also, not to make this episode any longer, but I also do podcasts in Norwegian, and they are always shorter than my English podcast, and probably because I need more time to get the words out, and it takes me longer to explain things in English than in Norwegian. So I'm sorry if my episodes get a little bit too long, but that is only, I don't know how to shorten them down. I try to cut out as much as I can of the things that is not necessary for you to to hear or know. But yeah. So again, thank you very much. If you are still here, still listening to me ramble on, that is means a lot to me. And I do really love to sit here and talk to you. And I'm so grateful for all your encouraging comments and that you like and subscribe and all those YouTubey things. That means a lot to me. So subscribe if you are not already and you like the content and you like to listen to my knitting rambling. Yeah. Yes, but take care. Knit, sew, crochet, do all the crafty fun things until we see each other again. And I just hope that you have some good days ahead filled with only good things. I pray and hope that. Okay, I see you all in a couple of weeks. And then I have been on a festival, so I can't wait to tell you all about it. All right, friends, appreciate all of you. And I'll talk to all of you very soon. Bye.